My name is Margaret Adele, and welcome to another indie book review. And in this case, I basically demanded that the author send me this. So today, I am reviewing Drag Queens, Emo Teens, and Big Dreams by Dylan James. I have reviewed a lot of work from the Own Voices MLM community and indie authorship now, and I basically got tired of waiting for this author in particularly to send me something. So I literally messaged him and I was like, hey dude, we've interacted a couple times. I know you see me putting out reviews for this stuff. I have put out reviews for people that like you're in connection with. Why have I never gotten an email? And he was like, well, I wasn't sure, and for a lot of indie authors, having the confidence to actually send the work out for review can be tricky. And I'm like, you know what? I'm sure. So like, send me whatever you think would be your best bet right now. And I'm really glad he sent me this one because I actually already bought another one of his books. And I have a policy against reviewing books that I purchased because, well, it's a whole thing, but we'll talk about that later. So I was really intrigued by this one. This is all about a young drag queen named Corbin who is closeted to the majority of his family. Only his boyfriend, obviously, his friend, and the few gay mentors he has found in his local community even know that he is gay. All of his friends at the football team, his father, a military man he calls Sarge, both of his brothers who are in the Marines, and his mother are all completely unaware. And this entire story is about him struggling with hiding who he is versus wanting to come out, but also thinking of all the dangers that could come as a result of it. And the big crux of the problem is that his brother, who is a Marine, comes home from leave and ends up coming to his drag show and recognizing him. So I have to put a little bit of extra info in this review, and I usually try to add some level of information about my personal biases when I'm doing a review, because a true 100% objective review is a myth, and any reviewer that tells you that they are 100% objective just looking at the book is either lying to you or themselves. But in this case, I'm going to have to give a little bit more information than usual. Otherwise, I'm going to accidentally make this delightful YA queer coming-of-age story sound like a horror novel. So, it is fairly well known online, at least in certain circles, that I am bisexual. I am very out on Twitter and YouTube. I am not out at all on Facebook. Now, to be fair, I don't actually really post ever on Facebook. I prefer the fan groups. But I have been mulling over the idea for a long period of time. The trick is that there are possible homophobes in both my family and my husband's family, some of whom we will end up maybe in the same room with. We can't be sure. We don't know. I almost kind of wish all homophobes would be really vocal about it, just so I could, not have to worry about it. So this story about multiple different young gay men in their teens coming out and having a variety of reactions to it, including the very, very, very negative, was way more anxiety-inducing than I expected. I thought it would be fine. It was not fine. I actually had to stop reading this book on the exercise bike, because that's where I do a lot of my reading, but this book would give me so much anxiety that I would have all of this, extra nervous energy that I would push myself too hard in my workout and end up with shaking limbs after. Although it was kind of nice and weirdly applicable because Corbin actually goes on a lot of bike rides as a result of all this stress and tension and needing to relieve something. But apparently for me, stress biking isn't a thing I can do. But there is a very wide range of coming out stories here. You have Corbin himself, who is the focal point, but you also have his boyfriend Will, who at the beginning of the story is already out, but to mixed reviews, and his friend from the football team, Andrew, who, content warnings for child abuse. So it is a wide range of reactions to coming out from it eventually gets to the happy ending, the ending that every queer kid would like, to, well, I'll accept it, but I still don't ever want to meet your boyfriend, to, again, child abuse. Or at least neglect. I don't know if it counts as physical abuse. But I digress. There is a wide range of reactions and struggles to being gay, specifically just gay men in this case, although there is a nice little lovely WLW relationship that I appreciated. I kind of want their spin-off story. But anyway, so this does cover the whole gambit, and I liked that the interaction between Corbin and the members of his family was very realistic in a lot of ways, because you could almost tell with some characters, as early as when Corbin was just thinking about it and talking with those characters, you could kind of tell this character would probably be chill, would probably be okay with it, but he was still too afraid to come out. And that is a big thing that I think a lot of straight people don't get a lot of the time is, unless you are putting up very bold and blatant, I am LGBTQ friendly vibes, or even just saying it, a queer person is going to feel uneasy about coming out to you, because even a really nice person can turn bad. So even a really nice person who might be totally chill with it is still not necessarily someone that a queer person is going to feel comfortable coming out to. And also you have the will definitely be a homophobe vibes from other characters. But I also appreciated that there was the drag shows. I actually ended up looking up the song that Corbin sings at the end, just so I could get a gist of what his process was and what is going through his head. And the actual coming out isn't the happy fun I was hoping for, but it was a very realistic take on what to do when you are the gay son of a man's man father. And it wasn't cartoonishly horribly awful, but neither was it everything was okay immediately. So there's definitely a lot of tension and drama, and again, this is going to be a struggle if you're either a closeted queer person or a queer person who has a very negative coming out story. This is probably going to be a struggle for you, like it was for me. But I really appreciated all of the nuances. The writing style and general plot are very laid back, in which I loved how laid back the writing style is. This is definitely a book that knows it is YA, and it is specifically for YA audiences. No YA, but secretly for adultness going on here. There is, sex does happen as a result of the story, but it is not in explicit scenes. Either it's a fade to black, or it's like a general, he felt really good type overview. Like no direct descriptions of anything, so if you're not into that, or, not into reading any kind of YA sex scenes, which is where I'm at, that won't be a problem for you. The only struggle that I think I had was with the football team in particular. It felt like it was resolved a little bit too neatly, a little bit too quickly. However, the football team was really a side story and more of a way to introduce the character of Andrew and his coming out story more than anything else. So it didn't really bug me all that much, because you didn't need to spend a lot of time wrapping that one up, so that was fine. And again, the plot itself is a little bit, it's like slower, and then anxiety-inducingly quick, and then slower. So it's a lot of slow, quick, slow. So, it's definitely a character study. It's definitely a lot of Corbin riding his bike and thinking about things and being afraid of things. So this is definitely one you can't necessarily read for a fast-paced plot, but I don't think that's what anyone should go into a story like this expecting. So again, it's not to the book's detriment. In general, the characters were lovable and easy to recognize. His brother Steve is actually remarkably similar to a Steve I know in real life, and so that's who I pictured in my head the entire time. Although that Steve's reaction to me coming out to him, it wasn't bad, but he also has some wokeness he needs to learn. Regardless, I gave this book 5 stars. Again, another warning that if you are a queer person or questioning or whatever in the closet, or with not the best coming out story, or you just remember what it was like to be in the closet, be prepared, because this might bring up anxieties that you thought you had already moved past. Regardless, still 100% enjoyed it, would still 100% recommend it. I am so close to review requests. I'm really trying, I promise. End of November is still my goal, and I'm pretty sure I can make it fairly easily. Thank you all for being so patient. I swear I don't mean for this to drag on as long as it has. And with nothing else to say, I hope you have a wonderful day and a marvelous tomorrow.